So, good evening, everybody. This is Dikshya Basnet. When I was 5 years old, I was completely different. Spider-Man t-shirt, short hair, I bet. Everyone got confused when they finally got to realize that I was a girl. I used to play football, and any toy you put a hand on, you would find nothing like Barbie dolls, tea party sets, or soft toy of any sort. None. Except for the ones who were close to my family, everybody thought that I was the son of my parents. So I used to watch wrestling with my dad, went cycling with my cousins, played cricket and whatnot. Now, things were fine until I was given this freedom to choose what to wear or play with. But there were times when my mother used to forcefully try putting on pinkish clothes on me, and I used to run, lock myself inside a room, and not come out until she gave back my boyish clothes to wear. I used to steal scissors from my mother's drawer in order to cut the dress. She used to buy it for me in hope that I would get to wear something of my choice. मलाई कहिले काहीँ साथीहरूले भन्ने गर्थे के तिमी त केटी मान्छेले कहाँ रेस्लिङ गर्न सक्छ र And what I did after that? I used to go punch my sister to show that I can also be good at wrestling. Now, for somebody like that, going to only girls' school was a real struggle. I'll be honest. I used to feel uneasy wearing those knee-length skirts, have my hair grown, plaited neatly with ribbons on. It was a real nightmare for me. But trust me, I had no choice. But going to only girls' school was a beginning of a change in me, I had no problem eventually wearing those skirts or have my hair grown. But my perception about myself being the feminine gender did not change until so far I was 13. Trust me, I didn't believe this fact that I was a girl until I first started to bleed. Let me be honest, I refused to believe. Maybe that was a reason why I hid about it from my mother for a day or so. And after that, things got out of hand and she found out that I was having my periods for the very first time. My physical appearance started to change and I wasn't liking it. It was indicating I'm a girl, Nita. So I did everything to hide how my own body was treating against my own belief system. I thought having men's monthly cycle, being pregnant was something that made a woman a feeble one. And those were the things I didn't want to go through or endure it myself. मेरो चाहिँ कस्तो खालको मेन्टालिटी थियो भने हैन like if somebody gets married to me, he needs to be the mother, he needs to bear the child. So I was like, म किन जन्म दिने बच्चालाई? Why will I be pregnant? I used to think that way. So, my family members weren't that happy at the advent of me into this world. My grandfather wanted a grandson. These were basically what my relatives used to tell me every chance they got. So, growing up hearing how unwanted I was, undesirable to my parents just because of my gender, that they nearly aborted me, was the most hurtful and pinching thing I'd ever heard about myself. My parents left no stones unturned to provide me with the best of things, They loved me immensely. But where I failed miserably was to see how they were always willing to give me and provide me with what I wanted. I was completely blinded and stubborn enough to think that being a girl is something bad. When non-acceptance comes from somebody you love is tormenting and disturbing experience one can ever go in life. So I knew there was a problem, right? I knew there was a problem and the problem was my gender. But a 5-year-old me also had a solution. I thought, I can become their son, right? Like, I could become the son, act like boy, wear boyish clothes. These were the reason why I used to wear those baggy pants, boyish clothes, and avoid wearing the girly clothes. See, I had no problem with my sexual orientation. These were the reasons why I was avoiding to be the natural self, my natural self, So this came as a reaction to constant and deliberate attempts of my relatives to feed my small mind with all the unnecessary things that had left me devastated and weak. So growing up with this tumultuous situation in my head, thinking, why so much loath to a soul which had just started to grow within? But I never dared to go ask my mom these questions because I had no courage to hear what she had to say after that. So there was this time, one night over the dinner, my relatives were once again talking about how my parents nearly terminated me in the womb itself and how dissatisfied they were at my birth. Now see, this wasn't the first time I was hearing it all about. It wasn't the first time, Nita. मैं तो सुनी रहा थे बहुत सही देखी. So this time something triggered me, I couldn't take it anymore. I was enough of trying to be someone I thought my parents wanted me to be. I tried no matter how hard to make them happy by performing well academically, or take part in competitions, or behave like their son, They wanted son, Nita. I realized at the end of the day, I'm somebody who they did not want. And no matter how hard I try, I cannot change the reality. That day was really emotional for me. I was overwhelmed. I could do nothing, and I cried like a helpless one that day, literally. So that was when my mother realized that she ought to tell me what the reality was. Because I deserved to know what the reality was, right? Because people were feeding me with thoughts. So she caressed me, she took me into her arms and waited for me to calm down. My sister was 2 when my mother wasn't feeling well. She had missed her periods too, So they decided to go to doctor. Pregnancy test came positive. The doctor suggested to abort me. They couldn't track down the heartbeat, the fetus underweighed, and there were high chances that I would be born an abnormal. Now, my parents were confused whether it was right to welcome a new baby because they had a toddler to look after already. But that was when, my mother and my father took a decision. They decided to bring me into this world no matter what consequences might come their way, Despite knowing that I would have been an abnormal child, they decided to give me a birth. That's how Dikshya Basnet was born. Now, realizing and hearing what my mom had to say, I realized how things were manipulated and how innocent and gullible I was, believing every word they had to say. At that moment, I felt there is nothing wrong in me being a girl or being born their daughter, I realized that it's beautiful to be a woman, and from that very moment, I accepted myself for who I was, no matter what gender. From that point of time, I started embracing my natural self, my womanhood. मलाई अहिले पनि भन्छन् के एउटा छोरी छ यो त छोरा भइदिएको भए हुनी दे स्टिल टेल के अहिले पनि आउँछन् हैन अनि गफ गर्छन् यसो छोरा चाहियो रे भन्छन् बट that does not affect me no more because I've realized that my parents had and have accepted me for who I am. And I feel no necessity to be somebody else. It feels wonderful to be a woman now. Like, nowadays, I do not mind letting the house member know about my monthly cycle, or grow my hair, nail. I do not mind. I feel like literally wonderful and grateful towards my parents for they have given me birth. They've given me this beautiful life to experience and do wonders. I still do those stuffs that are categorized to be done typically by men, by our society, but I do them not regarding what gender has been performing that work. I do not do them. I just do them because I see that as a new opportunity to learn to tackle a task. I feel grateful towards my parents for giving me this life, and especially my dad for giving his ex to me. Thank you.